Hello, hello, YouTube family. We're waiting for that wonderful moment on YouTube when I know that I'm actually live rather than not being live, which means when I've appeared on the screen, there we go, I'm appearing on the screen. Welcome. I am going to copy this over to our Facebook friends so they have the link for this as well. Many of you who know me know that sometimes I'm known for doing random live videos, and today is no exception. Most definitely. I keep looking at the light and I need to be looking at the camera. We'll tell you what today is all about here in just a moment. Let's get all the copying and pasting of the links done for our Facebook family so they know that we're live too. That way people can join us, as many people as possible. And that just generally makes it a whole lot more fun, or funner, as I would like to say. I think it's important in life to use incorrect grammar, because otherwise, you never get to have any fun. Okay, that's all copied and pasted over. If you're here and you're watching live, please just drop me a hashtag live over in the comment section so that I'll know that you're here. If you're watching this on replay after the fact, please feel free to do that too. And please feel free to say hello during the video as well. So I wanted to come on today and talk to you about a couple of things. First of all, happy full moon. Moon is full today in Shravana Nakshatra. With Shravana, one of the things I kind of want to touch on with this particular energy, for those of you who are not as familiar with the lunar mansions, or nakshatras as they are also known, of Vedic astrology, Shravana is symbolized by an ear. And quite often, when Shravana Nakshatra is active, especially around a full moon, well, sensitivities can be a little bit heightened because we're hearing things, not those little voices in your head, not your Rice Krispies, none of those things, but we're hearing things, and we're sometimes not sure of what those things mean. And this is being mixed at the present moment with several other factors that we need to pay attention to. And I'm going to talk in turn about each of these, right? So presently, we also have Mars and Mercury transiting through Purva Falguni Nakshatra. Purva Falguni is symbolized by the coming together of two partners. Uttara Falguni, which comes right after that, relates to the benefit of that union. Okay, so with Purva Falguni, it's the coming together of the union. So there are likely some relationship things surfacing in your life that you're likely experiencing a certain degree of a healing crisis over at the present moment. Mercury is presently directly opposite Saturn. Saturn itself is in Shatabhishak Nakshatra. Now, I should say Nakshatra is synonymous with lunar mansion, for those of you who aren't familiar. And I'm just touching to a degree on some of the surface meanings of these lunar mansions, because their meaning is much more vast than this. And these are the ones that are coming to the surface in relation with this particular full moon cycle. So Shatabhishak Nakshatra can quite often bring a healing crisis to the surface. And so with Mercury directly opposing that, we've got an energy of needing to sort out the details of how to deal with a particular healing crisis, which might be surfacing for you. When Mercury conjuncts Mars, Mars gets the short end of the stick with that, because Mars gets starved by Mercury. And quite often, a simple way to understand it is there can be opinions are running really high of how certain things should be, almost with a certain degree of urgency to that, or survival instinct related to that. Because when Saturn's in the equation, there's always going to be an element of that thrown in, well, for good measure, so to speak. But adding to the mix and adding to a lot of the fun, we've got our good friend Venus presently going retrograde, presently already retrograde, I should say, in Magha Nakshatra. Now, Magha Nakshatra, amongst many other things, Magha gives an individual, right? And so let me kind of qualify this statement, because it doesn't mean that you're going to take off and explore the ethers, but hey, who knows, maybe you will. Every lunar mansion has what's called a particular Shakti, or energy, or power associated with it. And it is very apt at describing a certain element of that particular lunar mansion. And with Magha, that power is the power to leave the body. And as it relates to this particular circumstance, the power to leave the body kind of touches on that concept of when we're going through hardship, or when we're having to face sensitivities of some level, even for the purpose of healing them, we tend to armor and we tend to cover over those feelings, because deep within us, we're concerned about being vulnerable. Now, Purva Falguni Nakshatra, which we were talking about before, is connected to Venus. So the energy that's going on with Mercury and Mars as they oppose Saturn is going to be colored by this energy of retrograde Venus in Magha. So in short, you're likely finding yourself dealing with some difficulties in relationships during this particular full moon cycle. And the natural tendency, the natural impulse is to gloss over, or to protect yourself, or to just try to keep yourself emotionally safe in the relationship. And sometimes that's a good idea, sometimes it's not. But at the present moment, it's more than likely better for you to explore some of those areas where you might be feeling a little bit vulnerable, because there's an opportunity on offer for you for a profound amount of healing. And you can take advantage of that during this particular full moon cycle. But it's important to understand that as you're dealing with this situation, if you're feeling sensitive about, well, some of the things that are going on in your interaction with another individual, you might want to keep in mind that you might not be hearing things as they were originally intended. You're hearing things, you're interpreting it in a certain way, but you may be thinking that somebody is saying something that ultimately they aren't. You see, words, we say words because we mean one thing. And other people hear those words, and because of their vulnerabilities, their own difficulties, they take those words in, and they can often give it a completely different meaning than the meaning that we intended for them to get. So if you're dealing with just such a situation in your particular life, and you're kind of going, well, I'm feeling a bit sensitive about this. Did they really say that? Is this what they meant? Are they insulting me? You might want to just, kind of slow down, let the person know, like, hey, when you said that, here's what I felt. Because, inside of myself, I have a strong need for, feeling secure and comfortable in our interaction. And when you said that, it made me feel, a little bit upset, a little bit sad. And can you tell me what you intended by that? There's no harm with clarifying communication. Sometimes you might hear something you don't want to hear. True, but at the same time, sometimes you might hear that you've taken something in and you understood it to mean something that was completely divorced from what the person actually meant. So just briefly, I want to touch on something for you. I actually have started, in honor of this wonderful Venus retrograde period, a new consultation package focused specifically on relationships. Those of you who follow me may know that I have a package on success, finding success, tapping into your potential, building more prosperity in your life. And this led me, mainly because somebody reached out to me and said, can we do something like this on relationships? And I went, that's actually a really good idea. And so I decided to put it out there. So it's a 4 consultation package that is focused on relationships. And you can get this 4 consultation package for only $359. Now, you may be going, $359, but you may have missed that first bit, which is 4 consultations, which means you're paying less than $90 per consultation for this. And if you need a payment plan, those are available. I always try to accommodate people so that everybody can, ultimately have access to my services who wants it. So I want to tell you what we're going to do in those 4 sessions. So this is focused, as is most things in my universe, on empowering you in your life. It doesn't mean there aren't some predictive factors there too, but generally when we're concerned about those predictive factors, it's because something's out of alignment, right? And so I like focusing a lot of my work on helping you to deal with the root of the problem so that you don't have, quite as many problems, because I think that's much more helpful. So here's what we're going to do over those 4 sessions, and I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on some of the factors that are included, what I'm looking at, etc. So the first session I call Know Yourself and Who You Are Relating To. So in this particular session, we're going to go in depth on your unique energy type and the type of energy that you attract to yourself in your relationships through looking at a couple of different factors in the horoscope and the lunar mansions or nakshatras that are associated with that, and going into depth with those concepts. So those factors, or I should say amongst those factors, because there's a few, are the self-indicator, which in Vedic astrology we call the Atmakaraka, and the relationship indicator, which we call the Darakaraka. So we're going to look at the lunar mansions that are connected to those particular factors in the horoscope, as well as the sun and Venus. And in Vedic astrology for women, we look at Jupiter. We're going to look at all of those things and have an understanding of your particular style of relating with other individuals. Now, with lunar mansions, they belong to 3 different kingdoms: the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the animal kingdom. And in each of these kingdoms, I should say, generally tends to gravitate towards specific other kingdoms. They tend to function better with them. So for instance, the animal kingdom nakshatras, also called the Jiva nakshatras, tend to vibe well with other Jiva nakshatras or mineral nakshatras. And that's just to give you a general idea of how these particular factors work. So the first session, we're going over all of those concepts, helping you to understand the types of relationships you attract. We'll look at the strength or the weakness of what's called the Darakaraka in your horoscope and offer you some recommendations based upon that. In the second session, so I should stress, this is focused around helping you with relationships of all types. So intimate relationships, of course, but equally your social interaction with other people is also included with this, which becomes an important factor on the career front. So in the second session, we're going to focus on your social skills, right? And you may be going, my social skills are absolutely okay. We could all do better with interacting, right? So we are going to, through looking at a chart called the D3, also called the Drekana chart, we're going to understand more deeply your karmic patterning around socializing and self-expression, so we can more deeply help you to understand to attract the right connections to yourself in your life. You'll understand how you generally tend to interact with other people, how other people might be perceiving you in those interactions, which isn't to suggest that you have to be somebody that you're not, because you should always be authentic in your connections, but it is to suggest that it's something that you can be aware of in your social interactions so you know how to work with people. The third session I call the meetup and the long-term partnership, okay? And this is focused around how your specific relationship pattern revolving around when you get into relationships, like your first engagement with a partner, not engagement to be married. I mean, like you're interacting with someone because you're interested in getting into a relationship with someone. In short, your karma around relating. And that's done through looking at the D7 chart, also called the Saptamsha chart. And we'll also look at your karma in terms of long-term relationships, right? So that we can understand your capacity to commit, what happens to you in many cases when you get into long-term relationships, right? So we're doing this so that we can understand how you can more easily facilitate getting into better relationships and hopefully keep them in your life long-term, because it's good to understand this particular patterning around these factors. So the fourth session I like to call a planner session, okay? So in this session, we're looking at things on a predictive level, but rather than me going, you're going to do this, and this is how you will behave, and dictating to you how you're going to have to be in relationships, instead, what I do is I offer you guidance on how to plan your interaction for the months ahead so you can take the skills that we've worked on in this four session package focused around relationships, right? So I put a link over in the chat window if this is something that is of interest to you. And if it's not something that's of interest to you, I put it over in the chat window anyway, so that you can give it a little bit of perusal. It's a really in-depth package. Once again, I should say this is 4 sessions, right? And it's only $359 for a limited time only. That means you're paying less than $90 per session. And if you're going, yeah, I know, but that's too much of a commitment for me to do all in one go, I've got you covered, and you can't make an excuse because I'll set up payment plans with you if you're interested in doing so that you can partake in this particular package, right? If it's, it's already got indications that it's going to be much like my other package, the Success, Purpose, and Prosperity Plan, and the fact that it's likely going to be very popular. I'm already getting lots of interest in it, and I would really love to have you on board and do some really deep relationship work with you through the power of Vedic astrology. In addition to that, not only do you get the 4-session package, all of my consultation packages contain 1 free year of membership in something called Easy Astrology Society Plus. Easy Astrology Society Plus is my online Vedic astrology learning community, which gives you access to 300 plus hours of Vedic astrology video courses, question and answer sessions every 2 weeks, monthly master classes, private tutorials, and more. So you get all that for free simply for deciding that you want to dive in and do some relationship work, right? So again, I put that over in the chat window in case you missed it, because sometimes things tend to kind of disappear very quickly. I'll also put it in the comments section below once I am no longer live on this video, so that people who come along later can find it. So in the days ahead, right, try not to take things so sensitively. It may not be personal, the things that you're hearing. It could just be good old-fashioned sensitivity and, well, stuck in the mudness about how you think things should be in a relationship. And a reminder is that relationships are always a little bit of give and take. And ultimately, you're the one who gets to decide whether you want to give a little bit or whether you don't want to give a little bit, right? You get to make that decision. But in those instances where you feel like, giving a little bit of extra to the other person that you're interacting with, recognize that you might be taking, like over the next couple of days, things just a little too sensitively. So take it lightly. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Again, be sure to say hello. Drop me a hashtag live if you're watching this live. That way I'll know, but you won't be watching it live in a moment because I'll be gone. Or a hashtag replay if you're watching it on replay. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to everybody the next time around. And as always, please do